For pirates, the sea was both a treasure and a curse, an endless expanse that hid secrets beneath its surface. But what if one pirate ship's greatest treasure was a device, a tool, created to pierce the ocean's mysterious veil? What if that tool saw too much, revealing horrors no man was meant to witness? This is the story of Captain Elias Blackwood and the cursed telescope known as the Eye Beneath the Waves. It was said to have been crafted by an ancient inventor, a madman who spent his days studying the sea's deepest mysteries, trying to peer into the ocean's soul. For years, the device lay dormant in Blackwood's treasure chest, until one fateful day, when curiosity got the better of him. Captain Blackwood had been known for his ambition, but this time, his greed wasn't for gold. It was for knowledge. The Eye Beneath the Waves was rumored to show more than just distant lands. Could see what was hidden beneath the ocean's surface. Things that no man had ever seen. Things that the sea had kept secret for centuries. When Blackwood first peered through the lens, he saw ships, islands, and coastlines. But as he adjusted the scope, something changed. The water below him seemed to grow darker, the waves twisting unnaturally. And then, it appeared. An enormous, glowing eye beneath the waves. It wasn't just a reflection of the sky. It was alive, watching, waiting. And when Blackwood pulled the scope away, he realized something horrifying. The ocean hadn't just shown him what was below the surface. It had looked back. And that was when the curse began. The moment Captain Blackwood removed his eye from the scope, something shifted. The ocean was no longer a vast, mysterious expanse. It was alive, aware, waiting. The gentle waves that had rocked the Black Widow for days now seemed tense, as if the sea itself was holding its breath. Blackwood tried to shake the feeling off, dismissing it as a trick of the mind. But his crew was uneasy. They could sense the shift in the air, feel the strange weight of the water below them. The captain tried to reassure them, laughing it off as a mere optical illusion. After all, the telescope had revealed nothing beyond what any seasoned pirate had seen, beyond the usual treasures and ships that dotted the horizon. But the Eye Beneath the Waves had shown him more, much more. It had shown him the Watcher, the ancient entity lurking beneath the surface, an eye that didn't just belong to a creature of the sea, but to something far older, far darker. And then the signs began. At first, it was subtle. A crew member disappeared without a trace, his screams echoing briefly over the waves before falling silent. No one could explain it. The ship wasn't near land. There was no way he could have fallen overboard. Then, strange shapes began to appear beneath the surface of the water, large, shadowy figures that circled the ship at night. The crew swore they saw glowing eyes staring back from the depths, and the water around them seemed to pulse with an unnatural rhythm. Captain Blackwood tried to ignore the growing dread. He was determined to master the scope, to understand the knowledge it offered. But every time he peered into the telescope, he felt the pull of the ocean beneath him. The eye would appear again, closer, more intense, its gaze growing more hostile. The situation on board the Black Widow grew more unbearable with each passing day. Captain Blackwood, once consumed with the thrill of his discovery, now found himself trapped between reality and madness. The strange presence beneath the ocean was no longer a distant curiosity. It was something alive, something that sought more than attention. The crew could feel it too. The whispers in the wind grew louder, now almost a cacophony, as if the sea itself was speaking to them, urging them to surrender. And with every passing moment, they felt the weight of those unseen eyes, watching, waiting for their next move. The ship's once constant creaking and groaning had become unnervingly rhythmic, as though the vessel was synchronized with the ocean's pulse. And then, the unexplainable began to happen. Crew members, one by one, started to act strangely. They spoke in tongues, muttered under their breath, and swore they heard voices beneath the water. No one could remember when the change began, but it was clear. Something had infected them. Something ancient, something from the deep. The crew became divided. Some believed it was the eye beneath the waves, that the telescope had brought with it a curse, a force that was now leeching the sanity from everyone on board. Others were too afraid to speak of it, but their silence said it all. The real test came when the ship's compass began spinning wildly, refusing to point in any direction. It was as though they were caught in some kind of vortex, lost not just in space but in time. No matter how they sailed, the waters around them seemed to remain unchanged. The sky, the sea, the very stars themselves felt like an illusion, as if the world had frozen, locked in place by the power of the ocean's eye. And then, in the dead of night, the ocean finally reacted. The sea that had been still for so long began to move. But this wasn't the gentle rocking of waves. No, the water surged violently, pulling at the ship as if it were alive, seeking to drag them into the depths. The chaos on the Black Widow reached a fever pitch as the crew found themselves helpless against the force beneath the waves. The once confident pirate captain, Blackwood, now a shell of the man he had been, paced the deck in a frenzy, muttering about the eye beneath the waves and the curse he had unleashed. The whispers were louder now, filling every corner of the ship. They weren't just in the air, they were in the minds of the crew, infecting their thoughts, twisting their very sense of reality. The sea, once their home, had turned against them, and it seemed there was no escape. The ship groaned under the pressure, its timbers creaking as if the very vessel was protesting its fate. The crew's fear turned to desperation. They tried to steer the ship, but the ocean had become their warden. Every time they tried to sail away, the waters would drag them back, forcing them into a never-ending cycle of hopelessness. Captain Blackwood, still determined to control the situation, turned back to the telescope. He had convinced himself that he could master it, that somehow, if he looked hard enough, he would find the secret to making the ocean his ally. But with each glance through the lens, he saw less of the world he once knew, and more of the horrors that lay beneath the surface. The eye that had once been a curiosity was now an all-consuming, malevolent force. Its gaze followed Blackwood, not as a simple observer, but as a predator, waiting for him to give in to its pull. Then came the final sign. A crew member, driven mad by the constant whispers, ran to the edge of the ship and threw himself overboard, screaming as he was pulled into the abyss. And the ocean, which had been so calm, surged violently, as if to claim him body and soul. The ship was no longer just drifting on the water, it was being dragged down, pulled by something far more powerful than the men aboard it. The final moments on the Black Widow unfolded like a nightmare. The ship, once proud and steady, was now nothing more than a drifting wreck, pulled deeper and deeper into the cursed abyss. Captain Blackwood stood at the helm, his face drawn and gaunt, the madness of his obsession consuming him. The crew, what was left of them, had either been claimed by the sea or driven mad by the whispers of the deep. Blackwood's eyes, once filled with ambition and greed, were now empty, hollow, haunted by the same eye he had gazed upon through the telescope. As the ship tilted dangerously, the ocean itself seemed to rise up against them. The water had become a living force, a beast with an insatiable hunger for their souls. It was no longer just a curse, it was a price for Blackwood's unrelenting greed, for daring to peer into the heart of the sea. The eye beneath the waves had not just been a window, it had been a trap, one that had pulled them all into a dark, eternal prison. Then came the final twist. Blackwood, in his final moments, turned the telescope one last time, hoping to find a way out. But what he saw wasn't an escape, it was the end. The eye stared back at him with an unnatural malice, and the ship began to sink, pulled by an invisible force. The ocean that had once been his domain was now his tomb. As the Black Widow plunged into the dark, cold depths, Blackwood's scream was swallowed by the waves, fading into silence. The last of the pirate crew was lost, their souls claimed by the very thing they had tried to conquer. But the story doesn't end there. The eye beneath the waves still exists, waiting for the next fool who dares to peer into its lens. Will you be the next to discover the curse? Leave your thoughts and theories about what really happened to Captain Blackwood and his crew in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more chilling pirate tales and supernatural adventures. What lies beneath the waves, waiting to be seen?